Stranded on a deserted island, you've got a lot to handle. Sourcing food, finding water, building a shelter, making fire, and signaling for help. Sounds impossible for one person, right? Life would be much easier if you had a survival buddy. But what if that friend is totally useless, like Wilson in Castaway? You'd be far better off befriending a drone. In this series, we'll unravel the tech that makes it into the ideal survival ally and explain how it helps in real life. Finding food is a risky endeavor in a survival situation. Every trek through rough terrain risks injury, and you could end up burning more energy than you find, leaving you as exhausted as a day spent talking to a volleyball. Can you imagine how much easier this would be if you had a drone equipped with a multispectral camera?
Multispectral camera is a camera that can record different spectra or different bands. And usually we do that with bandpass filters. So we have a camera, and then either we put another bandpass filter in front of this camera that only lets through a certain spectrum of light. And I can then use it to calculate indices. And with these indices, I could then figure out, for example, the chlorophyll content or the health of the plants. So chlorophyll is the molecule in the plants that uses sunlight, water, and CO2 to produce sugars. So the more chlorophyll is in the plant, the more I can expect that this plant has nutrients, and the more I can expect that this plant has healthy fruits in the end. So I'm going to show you how to assess chlorophyll content in plants in a real survival situation. However, I'm a little bit limited by the Dutch landscape, so let's just imagine that this here is a deserted island. So the multispectral camera has an array of individual camera sensors, and each of these cameras has a bandpass filter just in front. In our case, we have a red light bandpass filter that only lets pass red light. We also have another that only lets through near-infrared light. And both of these light spectra are very, very important to vegetation monitoring, because red light is usually almost completely absorbed by healthy vegetation. And the opposite is true for the near-infrared light. Near-infrared light is usually almost completely reflected by healthy vegetation. And now what we can do is we can take the remote control and calculate already, like on site, the difference between the red spectrum and the near-infrared spectrum. This is called the NDVI, the Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, and it indicates us where the vegetation is healthy and where we don't have so much chlorophyll in the plants. For example, this tree, we already see that there's many red leaves already forming because it's autumn. So this tree looks really, really green. That doesn't have a high chlorophyll content. And here we can see a tree with a high chlorophyll content. It's very red in our NDVI. So this one could be quite an interesting candidate for good food. Let's just go straight to the harvest. So the canopy of this tree looks much more red in our NDVI index, indicating more chlorophyll. So this should be the healthier fruit.
What is this technology used for in more, say, real-life situations?
So typically we use that kind of technology in agriculture to see which crops in a field grow well. And we do that on the individual plant level. So we can really fly over a field with a drone and the multispectral camera. And then we see that some plants might do really well. And then we see other plants that might struggle a little bit. And what we see a lot is, for example, that they're missing fertilizers. So that means the farmer just forgot to put enough fertilizers in a certain area.
You missed a bit.
Where?
In the mirror.
No, I didn't.
You did.
Or there's lots of erosion. So maybe there was a strong rain in the past and it just took away all the topsoil with all the nutrients.
Well, there comes the rain again. Now.
Okay, Annie Lennox.
Another typical thing that we see is that, for example, there was a road or like a tractor path before, and the soil is compacted. So the plants on top usually don't grow that well, and you see that in the chlorophyll content.
No.
Why not?
Look at the width of it. Your tyres are going to be flattening.
Going to crush.
Yeah, you're newly...
Yeah, we'll lose too much earth.
It's also a valuable method from a research perspective if we want to try a new treatment. For example, we are currently running an experiment with the biochar in the soil, and the idea is that biochar improves the soil quality in a way that it can store more water during droughts. So what we expect, and when we fly with our multispectral camera and the drone over the field, is that the areas with the biochar are healthier during prolonged droughts than the ones without biochar.
It's clever thinking.
Right, so high chlorophyll content means a healthy plant. But does this mean I can just eat any plant identified as healthy by a multispectral camera?
No, that would be a bit dangerous. Theoretically, you can check for these things using hyperspectral cameras, but the hyperspectral camera that we have here is like this size and weighs like 12 kilograms. So I'm not 100% sure if we can really bring that on a deserted island. It survives, and then we deploy it to really look for non-toxic fruits and crops and leaves. Yeah, would be wishful thinking, I think.